If you want to listen to this full episode, you can hear the official Celtic FC podcast on all streaming platforms.
This is the official Celtic FC podcast.
Well, I'm going to start with, I've never been one for individuals, if you understand what I'm saying. So I'd always say 85, that team. I'd always say, obviously, 88, the centenary team, as everybody knows them now as, that team. Blair's, people, everything, the way it was won on that occasion as well, the centenary year. And obviously, Tommy, God rest him, his team, where we only lost one game and still never won anything that particular season. But I thought the football we played, it was the only Celtic team I've ever been involved in where we won nothing and got a standing ovation at the end of the season. And I remember saying to the players, this is the one and only time this will ever happen, because this just doesn't happen here. You've got to win when you're here. But we played some wonderful stuff with the supporters on the edge of their seat. So they three teams were probably the best three teams I was involved with. But the players I'm going to with was probably most of the boys that I played most with. You know, when you talk about the period of time, and a lot of them are for the one team near enough, which would, I'd go in goals, obviously, big Pat Bonner. Packy had 10 over, obviously, at that particular time. Big Peter Latchford was here at that time, who was a fantastic goalkeeper. Played in the 80 Cup final, obviously, against Rangers when they won 1-0. With George flicking that one in, and Danny's saying it still didn't hit off, and Danny said it was straight in. But so I'd go with Pat Bonner, wonderful goalkeeper. Celtic as a goalkeeper is very difficult because your concentration levels have got to be massive. Because no matter how the team can win 4 or 5, there's always a moment in the game. You see it with Joe Hart here, and people don't give him the credit for it. He has to make a big save, and you're going to win 5-0. But that big save came at 0-0, and Packy Bonner was more than capable of that. So Packy would obviously be my goalkeeper. Captain and full-back would be Mr. Daniel Fergus McGrain.
Brilliant.
You know, so the best right-back I've ever seen. Best left-back I've ever seen. You know, so he could play either or. But Danny was the best full-back I've ever, as I say, you talk about the modern day, Danny could play in the modern day. He was overlapping. Probably he got a nosebleed when he got to the 18-yard box. His goal scorer would tell you that. But an unbelievable footballer, strong as an ox, great defender, magnificent user of ball, but just an all-round top defender. And I was blessed that I had a short period of playing with, so there's absolutely no doubt at right back would be Danny McGrain.
What a player, absolutely sensational, a Celtic legend and key figure in so many successful Celtic sides as well. You look at the era that Danny McGrain broke into the Celtic team as well. Great choice. So who are the two? I'm assuming it's two we went for at the centre of the defence.
I'm going to go with that. I'll go with two centre backs, which one is a standout and the other one's it's quite difficult. So I had a few choices. So Big Roy Aitken, another captain and leader, but he could play midfield equally as well, you know, so known as a bear, obviously, or Shirley. It depends who you are, if you call him Shirley. But
I would call Roy Aitken Shirley.
But it was just, you know, just at moments you had to galvanise the team. He'd go on one of these big surgeon runs, you know, and been in the team at such a young man himself, you know, and staying in it forevermore, you know, forever, really. So Roy Aitken, without a shadow of a doubt, goes in there. You know, you're talking about leaders. We're talking about Danny McGrain, you're talking about Roy Aitken, you know, there's two fantastic leaders, but two fantastic all-round players. You know, as I say, Roy was slightly different in the respect he could play midfield, central defence, and equally do them, no problem whatsoever. So Roy Aitken as well, for his leadership qualities alongside his ability. The next position, I've had quite a few centre-back positions there, so Big Derek White done exceptionally well there when he played with us for a period of time. You had Paul Elliott coming in for a period of time. But I'm actually going to go for Tommy Boyd.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm actually going to, because I played with Tommy probably a little bit longer than most. And I think if I look at modern day now, what do you need as a centre-back? Somebody can use the ball. Tommy could play a left-back, right-back, centre-back. Quick. I'd played with him as a young kid before he went to the YTS. Tommy was at St Ambrose in Coatbridge. I was at St Pat's in Coatbridge. And I knew of him, and he went away to Motherwell because people thought he wasn't quick enough. It's quite ironic because he ended up being the fittest than anybody. He could run faster, any distance, you name it, Tommy could do it. And I just think it's such a calmness round about him in any position he played along the back line. And I just thought, all round when I look at it as a centre back, because one that never gets a mention. Who I started here with was Big Tom McAdam.
Right, okay.
Was a brilliant centre back. I don't think he get the credit he deserved. He was a top goal scorer in Old Firm games at that particular time. You know, I think, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 goals or something.
Really, wow.
You know, he was unbelievable because he was started out as a centre forward at Dundee United,
Right.
and then came to Celtic. But he was a really good centre back. It wasn't the biggest, but magnificent there. And Tom I started with. And he doesn't get a lot of mentions, but he was very, very underrated. But I'd probably go with Boydie because of the fact that I'd played with him more often than not. And he's a very, very good reader of the game whenever he played along the back line.
It's shaping up to be a great defence here, so I'm intrigued to see who we've got on the left-hand side at left back. Who have you gone for there?
Well, this is going to surprise quite a few people. When I thought he should probably have stayed a little bit longer. Davey probably won't agree with me, but I thought he should have stayed a little bit longer there, even though he was a more senior player at this point. I'll name him last. But I was very fortunate. Tosh McKinley was excellent. I believe Tosh should have been here a lot sooner. And I know there was probably maybe different reasons why he wasn't here, but I thought when he was at Dundee before he went to Hearts, Tosh should end up being the Celtic left back at that particular time. I thought he was a wonderful player. I only played with him for a short period of time, but he was terrific in the period he was here and a fantastic guy as well. But I'd call him a typical Celtic attacking fullback with a cross of a winger, you know, and that was the way the fullbacks were at that particular. So Tosh was outstanding. I started with Mark Reid, who was a really solid, strong defender, Mark. You know, really done an excellent job for Celtic. I really like Mark as a defender. And the one I'm going to go for and play at left back is the great Tommy Burns. That's who I'm going to play there.
See, at left back as well, because you wouldn't necessarily...
He played there a few games for us, and I thought he was outstanding because he could control the ball, and you'll find that a lot of wingers become fullbacks, especially abroad.
Right.
They don't really scout forwards. They scout, you know, they'll look at the forwards and think, well, I can make him as a defender, because then they think they've got the technical skills to play further up the pitch or whatever, or vice versa. But if they go back the way, they feel they've got the technical skill where they can use the ball and get forward and pick passes into midfield or get forward and support to give you more attackers. And Tommy played that on a few occasions for us. And I felt even when he left, I think he could have stayed there and played many years at left back for Celtic, especially the way the team was building. And I'd play Tommy there, even though he was a fantastic midfield player. But you'll see further as I go along why I've moved him to left back, because there's one guy I can't leave out.
Okay, I see. I mean, so far, Lewis, have a look at this so far. Pat Bonner on goals, back four, McGrane at right back, Roy Aitken, Tom Boyd in the middle, Tommy Burns out at left. Quite a special lineup so far. I mean, some absolute legends.
I don't think there's many getting past that back four. It's quite interesting. The Tommy Burns one's quite interesting because I think that's maybe something you'd see maybe modern day. You know how important fullbacks are, so it's very interesting one.
I'm liking the way that Peter's looking at this. So let's push on then. Let's get into our midfield. I'm assuming you've went 4-4-2. Is that right?
Yeah.
Peter, just for
just for the players I've got in there, you know. I mean, you'll see just the balance I've got to it because of the type of players. And I say it was more over a period of time he played with these guys, you know.
So let's get into it then. Who,
I'm going to play in the wide right at that particular time. I'm not going to go with the modern day left footer on that side of it. I'm going to go with a natural right footer.
Okay,
I was fortunate enough, as I say, I'm not fortunate enough to play with the wee Joe Millers and whatever in this world. And the one guy, I'll tell you in a wee minute, but I'll give another guy a special mention because he was magnificent at playing right side, was Big Billy Stark, known as the Ghost. Billy was brilliant signing for us. Brilliant footballer. Really intelligent footballer, wonderful goal scorer for such important goals, you know, but a real good team player. As you say, we called him the Ghost because of the way he got into the box without anybody seeing him. You know what I mean? And he was brilliant, you know, so underrated, but a terrific signing was. So Billy Stark. But the one I'm going to go for a natural winger in Davy Provan.
Brilliant.
I think Davy Provan for me, another one. Never get the credit he deserved. I don't mean from Celtic supporters, I mean all round. I thought he should have won a lot more caps, even though he won caps. It was really exciting. Run on his toes, Davy. Unfortunately, his career was cut short through the illness. But he loved. You talk about David Beckham's and that. Davy Provan was similar of that quality. What Davy done exceptionally well was running and crossing on the run. You know, his set play delivery, you know, or goals from set plays were magnificent as well. And for me, he was just a wonderful winger, a Celtic winger, I'd call him, you know what I mean, who could get by people and deliver. And him and Danny on that side had a fantastic understanding, you know, and as I say, so Davy shades it for the type of winger at that particular time that Celtic were brought up. If you put the ball and cross the ball in the box, you'll always have the strikers that will put the ball in the back of the net.
It's a sensational shout, brilliant player.
Brilliant player.
Who's accompanying him then? Who's your?
In the middle of the pitch, I think goes without saying, Paul. I was fortunate. I'm not even going to mention that anybody else in there apart from that, but Paul, head and shoulders as a midfield player in there. A young man obviously breaking into the Celtic team before me, but when I came in here, Paul was about a year older than me, 2 year older than me. We were on the ground staff together for a short period of time, then he went up and obviously made his debut against Aberdeen, and he scored in, I think, his debut, if I'm correct. But he was a wonderful, wonderful player, unassuming, magnificently quick feet with the ball at his feet, but couldn't run out your road, believe it or not. In a 5 yard sprint, he would never get away from nobody. But unbelievable change of direction, with his head up, knew where the pass was going to be, all these sort of things. He just seen things that others didn't see, you know. And the biggest compliment I can play him, he could play in any company. You know, that was the thing for me. People always say, and I still say, if he don't play for Celtic, could he have played with the big European teams at that particular time? I said, no problem. The better players he'd have played with, the better player he'd have been, because he'd have been able to live in that company, and he proved that in international levels when he played in big matches. You know, there was absolutely no doubt of that. But as I say, we were roommates for 14 years, you know, and as I say, on the pitch, it was like Eric Ernie. I was moaning at him all the time, you know what I mean? You know, so, but I was fortunate enough with a great understanding in there, because he would be the one that'd go and open the door, and I'd get the ball back and give it to him. You know what I mean? That was the way it was, and we were fortunate enough and then years later, the two boys actually, they bumped into each other, didn't know each other, played along with each other, played against Celtic in the Cup, but then shared the house together. It was quite incredible, actually, if they'd not known each other. So, as I say, a wonderful, wonderful player, but as I say, get in any Celtic team, there's no doubt in my mind of that.
Paul McStay, Adelaide Park, sensational. Who's gone in beside him then, Peter?
Probably the guy that I replaced, really. But I'd watched him, I'd played along with him, obviously moved position, moved to the left and moved to left back when I came in at that particular time, was Murdo McLeod. You know, I was a team that really I supported, you know, was that team, the 80 team, the team 78, 80, that was the team that I knew the players, who they were, you know, more than anything else, you know, that I really liked, successful men. But Murdo was a fantastic all-round player, you know, a scorer of great goals, big goals, you know, important goals, all these things. But a wonderful midfield player, great drive, guts, determination and quality, you know. So I think the balance of that, because for me to come into that group, you know, I'm thinking, wow, nobody's going, because if you're talking, I'm going to take Tommy Burns into that midfield, then that was probably the midfield. You know, your Davy Province, Paul McStay, Murdo McLeod and Tommy Burns. That was the team when I started as a youngster coming along, really. And I looked at that and I thought, absolutely no doubt in my mind, because you look at the big games that Murdo scored in, the big occasions he scored in, but by that, his all-round football abilities, as you say, he was tenacious, strong in the tackle, you know. And I just thought, who else could you better? You got a combination of a goal-scoring midfield player from distance, you know, power, which you need in big games at certain occasions, you know, because you can't always get in the box. And he had that in abundance. And very rarely, really, when you see big game players, Murdo was definitely one of them. So that's why Murdo McLeod would definitely be in my midfield alongside Paul there.
Love looking at footage of Murdo McLeod playing. I don't know if you ever been fortunate enough to look back at any of that footage, Lewis, but Peter's right in what he says. Murdo very rarely scored average goals, you know, driving them in from 20 plus yards quite often. He's a sensational talent, he really was.
No, it's already shaping up. I don't know. It's that good a team, I don't even know if you need to.
It's
that good to go and win itself, you know.
We can take 3 red cards and we're still going to be
alright.
So Peter, listen, we've got a few minutes left obviously here, so we've still got the left wing to complete the midfield and the 2 forwards, so if you want to go through them for us.
Well, my left hand side is what I would call a Celtic player. Di Canio.
Oh wow.
I'm going to put Paolo Di Canio in. I can't believe Tommy made me get in with him and split me and Paul up. You know what I mean? So I was more crying about that than anything else.
Sharing a room with Di Canio must have been an experience.
I don't know if you want me to tell you on here the very first experience. Because the very first experience we went in pre-season, I think I've told the story before, and the next thing was nearly mocking, God rest him. Tommy said to me, you need to get in and learn him English. I said, but I can't speak English. You know what I mean? So I said, that's going to be some conversation in there. So Paolo obviously is up in the room, and I've said, well, I'm 6, I'm 7, you go, and I'm speaking with the broken English, you go up to the room and all that sort of stuff. And I'm bringing the training kit up, so I was number 6, Paolo was number 7. I got with the kit, and he's standing, and when you're in a hotel room, the toilet's in your left hand side, and he's doing the shaving the body. And I'm like, I'm back down the stairs. I've hardly got a toilet bag, never mind. So I go back down the stairs and say to Tommy, I'm not getting in with him, so. And that was the way it started, and then all of a sudden he talks about in his book about the fish phobia. He thought I had a fish phobia. He didn't realise he'd put a shark's head in my bed as well. He talks about it in his book. So when I'm the manager in Norwich, I go to play against Ipswich, and they're all there with sharks' heads on because they think I've got a fish phobia. But I love fish, but it was a shark's head he'd put in my bed, and I put my foot right into the middle of it. But it was a character and a half, and there was a few other stories which I can't say on here, obviously, because I'd need to use bad language.
Absolutely.
But as a talent, and one of these guys, when you come in to the stadium, the fans are looking forward to seeing. You could tell with that team we had at that particular time, near enough it was Paul, myself in the middle of the pitch, and then you had Paolo, Andy, Tom, Cadetti, and Van Hooijdonk. That was the front four, so Paul would go and join them, and I'd be the one that was sitting with the oxygen mask trying to get the ball back for them. But it was just exciting. Obviously we played George's first goal, we played out here, we beat Aberdeen 5-0. We were unbelievable that night. Everybody plays exceptionally well in the game. George scores a goal, they blew the things off the radio, didn't they? The Radio 5 for live, blew off the market, they said, because nobody could listen to it because the supporters just went crazy. But then we played Aberdeen at Pittodrie, and it was snowing. Paolo wore gold boots.
That's right,
so all of a sudden,
we're
1-0 down. We end up winning 2-1. He pulls the ball out there, goes through. I think it's Theo Snelders. He goes round and rolls into the net. But he was just such a big game player, an entertainer. I loved playing along with him. It was just one of these things. You had to put him in his place. You used to tell him, listen, you're not playing with Maldini and that anymore, son. You're playing with Peter Grant now. So so you had to put him in his place. But a wonderful, wonderful talent. Who deserved to pull the Celtic jersey on, because that's what Celtic were brought, entertainers, and he was a wonderful, wonderful entertainer. Just a pity he wasn't here for longer.
Definitely, that's a great shout. Now listen, of course we're pushing it for time here, Peter. We could sit here speaking all day about these wonderful talents. We've got 2 spaces left to fill in this team, which is already quite a special lineup. So you want to tell us who the 2 who are making up the forward line? Yeah,
this is really tough, because I played with some wonderful. I'll just name the strikers that it's not in it. You had the Brian McClairs, Frank McGarveys, Andy Walkers were excellent here. Alan McInally, all of these guys, Celtic strikers when I was here, and I was very fortunate enough to play with them. I'm going to go with a strange one for so many Celtic supporters. Mo Johnson is going to be one of them.
Wow.
And that's a big call for me, but I can only be fair.
Yeah.
And people say, when you played at Celtic Football Club, he was outstanding. He was an unbelievable goal scorer, unbelievable work ethic and professionalism during his training and everything, but an unbelievable goal scorer, a big game player, could score every week. It didn't matter who the opposition was. He was an unbelievable goal scorer. And as I said, probably you look at the Charlie Nicholas is that all as well, who were excellent here. And then the other striker that's going to go along with him is the best all-round one, Frank McAvenny.
Really?
He's the best all-round striker. Put all the guys together, all the guys I've mentioned. Frank had a bit of them all. He had that callousness, goal scoring, strong as a bull, good in the air. Unbelievable goal scorer, as I say. But technically very good, either right or left. And as I said, it didn't matter who he was playing in centre half wise. He could bump them out the road. He would chase. Unbelievable team player. He was the best all-round centre forward I played with. And that's saying a lot when you talk about, like, say, Brian McClair, who Brian could play forward and midfield and still score a hat-trick. He was unbelievable. But I just think they 2, at that particular time, were probably the best 2 out-and-out strikers, I'd probably say, that were round about. And as I say, I was very fortunate enough to play with along. That's why I say it's probably been the teams that's been more things for me, because I could need to put them all in.
I mean, it must be tough because you've played with some wonderful players.
Yeah.
But Lewis, to round up here, it's a special team that Peter's picked there. Pat Bonner on goals, a back four of McGrain, Aitken, Boyd and Burns, midfield of Provan, McStay, McLeod, Paulo Di Canio, and up top Morris Johnson and Frank McAvenny.